Yep, and now we're on the air. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hi, JP. How was your birthday?
Oh, very good. Very good. Had a lovely
I'm glad
time.
you took it off from the radio. I'm glad you took it off from the radio to do some celebrating. If anybody deserves it, it's you.
Oh, bless your heart. So,
all right, what's going on?
Yes, thank you for the cards.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I wanted to tell you I love you and you and Bex, and I can't thank you enough for being as kind as you've been over the course of all this and keeping the lines of communication over and paying for the Skype line and posting some posts here so people don't forget, that I'm not dead, that I'm still alive out here somewhere. Still waiting on, as I said, the Ninth Circuit Court. The only reason I've been here as long as I have been is because they wouldn't give me discovery. They finally gave it to me. Then they tried to push a lawyer on me 5 times. I denied that. Finally had an appellate hearing where the appellate court actually reversed its decision and said I could continue without an attorney. I was going to put in an 88-page appeal just over all the illegal stuff and all the lies that they've done to me. And the lawyer for the Ninth Circuit Court said, you don't even have to do that. He literally said, who did you piss off? And so we pulled out the 6 dispository motions that got put in on November 21st. And we spoke to the clerk of the court last week who said that the court is just slow. It's backed up. They're like 3 judges short of, I think, the 15 they usually have. It has to be ruled on by a section of 3 judges of the Ninth Circuit Court. And she said it could take up to 6 months. So as of November 21st of last year, up to 6 months would be May 21st. So we'll see what happens between now and then. But again, the government just gave up. They realized that they got caught lying and doing all kinds of illegal stuff. I mean, even the attorney for the Ninth said, wow, who did you piss off? I've never seen anything like this before. And once we caught them using us as victims in another case to put like 3 other people in jail and then turning around and claiming that we are victims and architects of things when all we did was sit in a person's class. And here's the weird part about this. I never said anything about taxes ever to anybody. I never lectured on it. They had an IRS undercover agent actually take me to dinner who asked me to explain it to him. And I said, no, if you volunteered, then you volunteer. You would have to, there's all kinds of stuff that you have to do to unvolunteer, but if you filled out taxes, you volunteered for their system, and it's a cascade agreement. And I said, then there's all kinds of benefits to filing tax forms and whatever else. So just more fodder for the grist of the mill to sue the snot out of these people when I get out of here. But there's a writer for Popular Mechanics magazine who, for whatever reason, is writing this article for the New York Times. And I remember going up against this guy in the early 90s when the Popular Mechanics people were calling us all liars and crazy when we were talking about the saucer technology they had at Area 51. And we were sending photographs of the ships that we were taking out in the desert. And Popular Science would not print any of them, simply saying that we were just all nuts and it was all ramjets and scramjets and stealth fighters and all this other stuff. And we've got like glowing discs, doing maneuvers over the hills with crystal clear photographs. They were taken by people like Noria Hayakawa and the famous Gary Schultz UFO. But now this guy is apparently working as a smear dog for the New York Times, calling me the
This call is from a federal prison.
Calling me the architect of several tax dodging schemes, which, again, I never did. They never presented any proof whatsoever. Melissa and I were only 2 of 459 people that paid these 3 individuals to basically do our taxes for us. Melissa didn't even get a return, and I got a return, but after losses in the foreign exchange markets of millions of dollars, it was money that was actually owed to us as a loss. So it's just really tough to, once again, have this guy also lie that we had something called the Conspiracy Cruise, which he claimed cost $3,000 for people to go on, which is complete nonsense. And then he was like chased back to his room by a couple of kind of crazy anti-vaccine people, which also had nothing to do with us. So anyway, I'm just waiting for the Ninth Circuit Court to rule. And as soon as they rule, my motions they're uncontested and unopposed. And as soon as they rule, they should be setting me free. It's just a question of when they get around to it. So there's that. Melissa, bless her heart, really needs help. She's got a PayPal account, which is PayPal paypal.me, that's paypal.me/help Melissa, because she's really starting over from scratch. She's gotten completely screwed over by people who claim to be our friends. She doesn't have a place to live. She doesn't have an address. She's trying to desperately find one. She doesn't even have the money to pay for first and last to actually get a decent apartment. She's living in this half-hell house, or halfway house as they call it, in Watts, asking like the Mormon Relief Society to help take care of her there, to just, to do anything. And, God bless her. She's really got that get up and go Scorpio spirit. I don't think I could get out of here and just start over from scratch. I mean, I've always had money from businesses that I've done and jobs that I've had, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Just getting out of here, just completely flat broke. So so there's that. Let me see. Meanwhile, some good things that are happening actually all day today. NPR and CNN and Fox are talking about the Second Chance Act, the First Step Act, and the Second Chance Act. Trump had some people in the White House that were actually freed by the First Chance Act. It's helping a lot of people like me that are older, that have medical issues, cutting the sentences and getting us out of here. I just had a friend get out on compassionate release. He went through the same thing I went through with my eye operation, to give people the updates on that. They dragged me to an eye doctor a year ago in March, who decided that I had macular degeneration and did an operation on my right eye, which blinded me for a year. And he kept saying that you have to have this follow-up operation in order to replace the cataract and in order to actually replace the lens. Well, month went by, causing permanent damage to my eye. And finally, a year later, I went to this other doctor where they removed the cataract and actually replaced the lens in my eye with, I guess, a silicone lens. But it still looks like I can see light, dark colors, but I still feel like I'm 20 feet underwater looking up at the surface. So anyway, I had the eye operation last Wednesday. They didn't give us any warning, so we went in having eaten, putting us under anesthetic. They didn't give me eye drops. They didn't give me pain pills. So my eye is watering literally like I've got the movie Old Yeller on a loop in my head, with Philistines actually stabbing my eye with a hot poker, scraping it against the back of my skull.
This call is from a federal prison.
And so I have to do these eye drops every hour, and I've got these big giant Mr. Magoo glasses that I'm walking around kind of bumping into people with. But as far as the BOP, they just lie and lie and lie and don't take care of anybody, and it's a system based on complete and utter negligence. So we'll see. There's a because of my blood pressure and a lot of other medical issues, there's an argument to let me out for compassionate release. So anyway, the Mueller report turned out to be a complete hoax, like everybody knew that it was. They're talking today about the Second Chance Act or the First Step Act and all that. Helping guys with more programs in the prisons, letting older guys like me go that aren't a danger to anybody. As a matter of fact, Trump has $2.4 trillion slashed from the upcoming budget to basically close places like this, which are nothing more than debtors' prisons for guys who are just. It's a debtors' prison. It's for paperwork. It's for IRS taxes and all that stuff. Everything America was founded on. This place is just a spin in the face towards that. I've also been talking about the earthquakes. I haven't, just because of my medical condition and not having access to the proper maps here. I've been talking about some really big earthquakes hitting California, all up along the San Andreas Fault, finally starting to activate. If I could get my pendulum out in a decent map here, I could give you some time frames for it. So hopefully next week I'll be able to do that. But what's happened is that Mount Popocatépetl, or Mount Popo as it's called, which is 43 miles from Mexico City, it's actually Spanish for smoking mountain. Mount Popo erupts about every 500 years or so, and is usually a precursor to massive earthquakes along the San Andreas Fault. Well, 2 weeks ago, Mount Popo blew a plume of ash about a mile into the air. Remember, this is a volcano that's 43 miles outside of Mexico, or Mexico City, and Mexico City is built on a swamp. And the last set of earthquakes there, they had thousands of people die in apartment buildings where they didn't even dig them out. They just put a cross on the top of it. And because all the buildings, there's no code. They're basically taco shells, and these things basically just all collapsed in on themselves. So Mount Popo blew again Monday a week ago, and once again, it sits on this triangular platelet that's called Coco's plate. And when Coco's plate begins to shift or rotate, Mount Popo begins to blow, and then it sends shockwaves up through the San Andreas, which then runs through the Gulf of California, underneath the Salton Sea, where the ocean is actually seeping up. Then it goes all along the San Joaquin Valley, all up, and then it goes right along. I mean, it's directly underneath on the eastern side of the Santa Cruz Mountains. I mean, I grew up right on top of it, but it goes right through San Jose, Cupertino, Los Gatos, Los Altos, Atherton, which is where I grew up, and then it goes all the way up, and then it comes out the San Francisco Golden Gate, and then runs along the coast, and finally terminates at an underwater volcano in Eureka. Well, this is about ready to rupture, and I think San Francisco is going to be. I think San Francisco is going to be far more damaged than Los Angeles is. What you've got to watch for is you've got to watch for quakes in Eureka, way up in Northern California, the reactivation of that underwater volcano directly off the coast of Eureka. Because usually when there's an earthquake or a rupture in Eureka, you usually have stuff happening at the bottom of the kind of a diamond-shaped platelet in Southern California within 90 days. Now, we've already had the fires, and the fires are kind of an activation of that one big thing. The other thing is, too, is that if people go back and read the Vajra Chronicles, I know you can find it online somewhere, but all the way back in 1994, Vajra talked about that before a great revolution or a civil war in the United States, that there would be massive waves of immigrants, and that women and children would be especially allowed in the country. Also, that Omaha would be destroyed by floods, and that the floods would be a precursor to a rupturing of the New Madrid Fault in the Midwest, and we're seeing that happen now. But with the destruction of Omaha, that you would then see something called New Omaha that would come up west of Omaha, which would eventually be some great capital, and this capital would actually be the center of the North American Union, with a coming together of Mexico, the United States, and Canada after a series of major natural catastrophes. Now, if the New Madrid Fault was to rupture, and this was a big tenet of the Edgar Cayce prophecies. And the Edgar Cayce prophecies are interesting because they've come true, but not to the magnitude that Edgar Cayce expected. Edgar Cayce said in 1998 and 99 that there would be a shifting of the poles of the Earth. Well, there was a shifting of the magnetic pole, but it was only by 5 degrees, where it went from pole A, pole B to pole C. And the magnetic pole is shifting, actually, and began instead of moving north, it started moving east in December of 2009, and now the magnetic pole of the Earth, which used to be in Canada, is now sitting in the middle of the Siberian Sea. So it's just very interesting to see what's happening as the Earth is coming into alignment with galactic center. The other big aspect of this is we're right in the middle of what I call the Night of the Jaguar. The Night of the Jaguar is a 13-year period from 2012, December 21st, which was Earth's alignment with galactic center, up until December 21st of 2025. And when you go through the Night of the Jaguar, this 13-year period, the Mayan calendar goes in these 13-year cycles. It's fascinating because you're swallowed by this cosmic jaguar, which is a Black Panther, basically. And of course, like the #1 movie of the decade was Black Panther, even though the joke is there aren't any Black Panthers in Africa. They're all in Central and South America. But the idea is that it's sort of like Christmas is coming in June of 2019. So all the positive things that you're seeing about ready to happen, all the forces of evil that you've seen in the media on CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS, all this stuff has come to an end, and the forces of light, because now we're halfway through the dark Christmas, or halfway through the Night of the Jaguar, is going to be June 21st of this year. So in just a couple of months, we're halfway through the night, and moving upwards towards the light again, for a great, great light, which will result in revolution and civil war, as all the forces of evil and the forces of slavery and darkness are being defeated. And a symbol of this will be a supernova in the sky in the constellation of Cygnus on June 1st of 2022. So anyway, that's all the time I have. They're going to cut me off. JP, God bless you. Happy birthday. Want to say thank you. Please, paypal.me/help Melissa. Anybody to contribute anything to that so that she can find a place to live out there, I'd appreciate it. God love you. God bless you. Infinite blessings to everybody. I'll see you next week.
Good luck, Sean. Good night.
All right, brother. Thanks. Bye.